this podcast on a day which is a very, very sad day, especially I think for the both of us, for three essential reasons. Number one, Saurav and I both down with a viral fever and looking quite shitty and feeling
Yeah.
quite shitty as well. Number two, Vistara has decided to shut all their operations and hand it over to Air India. It was the only airline that was working over here in this country, which gave us some service, was a little on time most of the times, gave us good food, but that's also going. But the third and the most important reason, talking about going, is the man called Mr. Scott McTominay. He is leading the line for an exodus of players under the Jim Ratcliffe era who will be leaving Manchester United. And I think I can speak on Saurav's behalf as well when I say that this one is hurting the most. Saurav,
Very much.
है ना?
Sammy, I don't think in the recent past, in the last decade, if you look at the number of players that Manchester United has been able to sell off, uh, apart from a couple of players, I don't see any player who's been able to amass more than 255 games in a Manchester United t-shirt. Scott McTominay, in a way, he's lived the whole dream of that of an academy graduate. So it's
Absolutely.
heartening, of course. It's a little heartbreaking for sure. But it is what it is.
It is what
But
it is.
all the very best to Scott McTominay on this regard.
We are
Yeah.
going to give him, all our luck, love, support, all of that. But in this video, essentially, Saurav and me are trying to answer three important questions about Scott McTominay. Question number one: who is Scott McTominay?
Question number two: top three memorable performances of Scott McTominay in a Manchester United t-shirt.
And question number three: why is McTominay such a divided figure amongst Man United fans? We're going to answer those questions in this video. Stay tuned. सौरभ, क्वेश्चन नंबर वन से शुरू करते हैं भाई. कौन है मिस्टर मैकटोमिने? है कौन?
देखिए, मिस्टर मैकटोमिने, या very popularly known as McTerminator or McSauce. Internet has beautiful this way. It keeps throwing you these jargons, but all in all, Scott McTominay, he is a Scottish player. He's played for the Scottish national team. He was a part of. He actually joined Manchester United at the age of 5, and since then he's come up through the ranks. And eventually, it was under Jose Mourinho, and I believe it was against Arsenal in 2017
Correct.
April
Correct.
when he made his debut. And since then, he's actually gone on to feature in almost 8 or 9 seasons since 2017.
Absolutely.
And he's played more than 255 games for Manchester United, scored more than about, I don't know how many goals. That is something we can figure out later. But
मत बोलो, ये एक सवाल मैं सबसे पूछने वाला हूँ, बाद में मैं बताऊंगा क्यों.
exactly.
But the funny part or the more interesting part, Saurav, is that
Hmm.
2017 में, before making his debut, he actually got his
Hmm.
first professional contract in 2013, which was like
Yes,
about 4 years
yes,
back, right?
yes,
And
yes.
from there on, in fact, before we kind of get into more numbers, I mean that's
Hmm.
your thing.
Yeah.
However, like if you're new to the podcast, let me tell you, Saurav is the mind, I am the heart. Whatever is mind driven is spoken by him. Whatever is heart driven is spoken by me. However,
Correct.
thus coming to the heart driven part, I think ये एक बंदा है स्कॉट मैकटोमिने जिसका मैं डायरेक्ट लिंक निकाल सकता हूं with the greatest of all time, debatable, Lionel Messi, because I think both of them suffered from something very, very similar. At when he was very young, he actually suffered from a very intense situation of a growth spurt, which means that Scott McTominay grew 14 inches within 2 years. Is absolutely the opposite of what Leo Messi had. He was not
Right,
growing, and this
right,
guy over
right.
here couldn't stop growing. You
It's
know,
very similar to that of Darren Fletcher. That is
correct,
something. Yes, yes. Darren Fletcher also had this issue regarding growth, and because of which he had a lot of internal injuries, and because of which he couldn't feature into a lot of games under the under 23, under Nicky Butt. So,
right.
but however, Sammy, 2017 is a very memorable time. Jose Mourinho was the first one to identify Scott McTominay as someone who could be used as an imposing center midfielder. Very interestingly, again, Sammy, Scott McTominay actually started off as a striker back in his youth days, and then he was eventually made to play as a center midfielder. He's played a plethora of positions. He actually played an attacking mid. He's played center mid. If you remember our very famous uh, Fred and McTominay,
Combination.
double pivot. Yes, yes,
Yes.
McFred, which was popularly known as McFred. However, for Scotland, he actually played as a centre back as well.
Hmm, 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 hmm.
Now, in that very season, although we weren't that well, I mean, we probably had ended up being fourth or fifth in that season in 2017 under Jose Mourinho, and I remember Jose Mourinho actually at the end of the season awards, he actually presented Scott McTominay with a special award because
Hmm.
of his contributions to the team, and he said that he's someone who's relentless. He's someone that he's always out there. He's always there. He always knows what to do, what not to do. He plays for the
Correct.
badge. He plays for the club.
But
So
Saurav, I
yeah,
have a quick question for you and everyone
right.
who's viewing this. You can,
Mhm.
guys, if you're watching this, please fire up the comment section with this. A bit of a controversial topic, maybe, but do you think that Scott McTominay should have actually been pursued as a striker and not as a CDM? Because if you see, he had the knack of going and scoring goals all throughout his career. So, do you think he would have been a better choice given his height as well? As a striker and not as a CDM.
Uh, could be. I'm not sure. I don't have coaching licenses by under UEFA, but I do. What I do feel, Sammy, is the fact that Scott McTominay, having played after playing in the midfield, he's someone who actually runs into the box and creates
Hmm.
this chaos around himself, which is pretty much evident by the numbers which he racked up last season. He
Right.
scored 10 goals, provided 2 assists, one of his most productive seasons in terms of goals and assists last time.
Correct.
And also the fact that Scott McTominay is very good inside the box because he's played as a striker earlier.
True. True.
But however, probably, I mean, like I said, these coaches back in the first team, back in the under 23, they felt that he can bring that amount of steel in the midfield too. And it's not that, I mean, it's not that he's never played that well as a
Hmm.
midfielder. Of course,
Hmm.
he's not like someone who's built under the ilk of Busquets or Fabregas or even Declan Rice or someone, but he's someone who can actually, who always progressed in the midfield. He was always running around. He was a menace, but as a striker, I'm not really sure.
All right. Well, fair enough. I can ask all our viewers to also join into this conversation and tell us that do you think that Scott McTominay, which position do you actually prefer him? Do you think that if he would have played striker, he would have been far more lethal than what he is in the CDM position? However, since we're talking about his early childhood, let me also tell you कि भाई सौरभ
हम्म,
पैसा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है भाई.
पैसा इम्पोर्टेंट है, हाँ.
है ना, है ना, है ना.
हम्म.
बिल्कुल. स्कॉट मैकटोमिनी इसीलिए बना क्योंकि उसके बाप के पास पैसा था. ठीक है, ये मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ सबको. Actually, I mean, jokes apart, he comes from a very wealthy family with strong footballing connections, and
हम्म,
young Scott McTominay was actually nurtured by the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson, who cared for
हम्म,
him like his own child. Now, whoever
हम्म.
this man has cared for as his own child have gone on to create history. If you're looking at somebody like a David Beckham, we all know what he was capable of both on and off the field. And I think Sir Alex Ferguson always has this eye rather still, to kind of pick up the right boys and make them
Nurture them.
his
Nurture
children.
them. Yes, yes,
Uh-huh,
yes. Nurture them.
absolutely right. And
And
also,
mm.
Hanji, bolo bolo.
And there's a very famous quote by Alex Ferguson as well. I mean, Sam, if you want to read that one out.
Sir Alex Ferguson says, when you watch Man United pick their team for a big game, McTominay's name is in it. He's a good character, a great trainer. I know a little bit about the boy, and I think that that's his background. So, I mean, when you get validated by none other than Sir Alex Ferguson, I think you're doing things right. You
For
know.
sure, for sure.
Absolutely. Now, sort of, I think we'll quickly move to question number two. Question number two was, what are the three best performances according to us, the biggest football pundits on planet Earth?
We'll start from three and then we'll go to three,
Sure,
two, and
sure,
one,
sure.
right?
Can I take three if that's
Perfect.
okay with you?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I think number three would be in my book. I think I'll go back to 2023-24 season, which is last season, right?
Last season, right?
Last season, mein, I think the United Brentford game is the one that
Oh
according to
yes,
me,
for sure,
is
for
yeah, yeah,
sure,
yeah. And I'll tell you
for
why.
sure.
If you look at that game, we, as usual, weren't playing the best football under the sun. We
Mm.
conceded in the 26th minute when Matthias Jensen scored the goal for Brentford, and at halftime, we were actually 1-0 down, right? Second half starts. Scott McTominay is doing his thing. The team is trying to make things happen, etc., etc., etc. But come the 90th minute, and I think this is why Sir Alex Ferguson said that this boy is special, because he believes in the psychology and the theory that Sir Alex Ferguson follows. And that theory is एकदम अंत तक ले जाओ फिर खून कर दो,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait till the very
93rd
end.
minute and 97th minute, two bangers go in, both by Scott McTominay. But the most important part is that goal that went in the 97th minute. The assist was by Harry Maguire.
Yes, I remember
Yes,
that. I
of
remember
course,
that,
of
man. He
course.
kept playing. I'll tell you why. Because right after the Brentford game, there was an international break, and traditionally,
Right.
over the last few seasons, whenever there is a game right going into an international break, we've always lost them.
Absolutely. And
So
we were
those two
actually
weeks are mentally you're.
correct, correct. We were actually going to repeat that as well.
Yes,
Had it not been
yeah.
for the deadly
Scott
combo of Harry
McTominay.
Maguire and Scott McTominay. But tell me
Correct.
what's number two?
Number two, Sami. Same season last year. I believe it was against Aston Villa at home, and we were losing 1-0 till about halftime. And then I think it was the first goal was either by Rasmus Højlund,
Hmm.
and then finally in the 86th minute, it was Scott McTominay.
Right.
Important why is because it was around February, so we were towards the fag end of the last maybe 10, 12 games left in the league, although
Right.
we didn't do really well. But the fact that we managed to get a winner in front of our own crowd is important, because we've had the worst finish in the entire Premier League era last season, and Scott McTominay's total contribution of 7 goals in the Premier League actually helped United amass 12 points throughout the season.
Hmm.
Now, which is why I'm a little worried when you asked me in the very first beginning that how do you feel about Scott McTominay leaving?
Yeah.
I'm a little disheartened right now, is because if you look at it, as per the statistics, Scott McTominay is in the top 5 scorers in the Manchester United team, and now that he's not going to be there,
Who's gonna score the
I'm
goals?
struggling to find who else is going to be there to notch up those number of goals, because I'm a little still I'm concerned.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anyway, that is how where I rate number two and the second best performance of Scott McTominay.
Sure. But number one, sort of, has to be, hands down, the 1920 season at home. Manchester United are hosting bitter rivals, the worst of the lot, Manchester City. Okay. They are playing Manchester City. Everybody thinks Manchester City is going to win. However, what happens is in the 30th minute, Anthony Martial puts in the first goal of the match, and United are leading 1-0. They hold that lead till the 97th minute when Edison grabs hold of the ball and decides to throw it to start an attack because we're in the last minute of the game. Okay. That
Uh-huh.
ball from Edison, the only thing that Edison, I think, forgot while he was throwing that ball was to gift wrap it. However, the ball lands into the feet of Scott McTominay, and he just takes a direct shot which goes right into the goal. 2
Yeah,
nil.
I remember this. I remember
Yes,
this.
2 nil
And
Man
and this is
United.
Sammy. This is basically the last game before officially the lockdown had hit all of us across the world.
Correct.
So, in to do it in front of about a 74,000 odd people, I think it's bone chilling to know that you can give people such memories that will last a lifetime like that. I
True,
mean,
true.
another I mean, it won't. I don't rank it in top three because purely because of the opposition. It was
Hmm.
Leeds. Same season, we scored 6-2, and interestingly, we were playing Leeds after 19 years,
Right.
and within the first 3 minutes, Scott McTominay actually scored 2 goals,
Goals.
and
Right.
Leeds were out of the whole game because of the very brisk nature of how we and ruthlessly we started off. But
Correct.
it's a special performance. I do not rank it, but I just remembered it and I thought I should
That
just
one's
say it
that
out
one's
loud.
just close to the heart.
Yeah, close
Yeah,
to the heart.
yeah,
Yes.
that one's just close to the heart, which actually gets us into the third question, sort of.
Right.
Scott McTominay across, if you go on Twitter and you go to any of the Manchester United fan forums, you will see that he's always been a very divided figure. You know,
Right.
a part
Right.
of the United fans love him, a part of the
Hmm.
United fans are very neutral about him, a part of the
Right.
United fans always hate him. However, what I feel is that given the performances that he's put in a Manchester United shirt, I don't know why the haters are still there. However,
Hmm.
I'd love to know your take on why this man is such a hated figure.
Yes, I mean, I do not even know where to start off with, but I do have something to speak about this. I feel that a lot of the fan base and a lot of these users that we actually interact with over online, they're
Hmm.
very young,
Hmm.
and they have not actually seen Manchester United. They've probably just seen Manchester United as a club that has always won, and then suddenly they've always followed this club since about close to maybe 2000, 2008, and
Right.
we were in our one of our most glorious patches through history,
Right.
and then they've seen them completely fall off the radar
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
become, uh, quite frankly, it feels hard to say this, but a mid-table club, right? We've
It
not
is. It
had
is. That's the
best
truth
10
right now.
years.
Hmm.
We've not had the best 10 years, but so, and also if you look at Scott McTominay, right? I mean, he's not someone who's very, like I said, he's not someone like a Fabregas or a Sergio Busquets, yeah, Declan Rice ho gaya. He's not someone like that. So he's someone who's going to get the ball. He's going to charge into the mid, into the box. He's someone who's good at, because of his stature. He's about 6 feet 4 inches tall, I believe.
That's correct.
Very good, and in aerial duels he's someone who's very good. But what I really liked about Scott McTominay is the fact that he used to put 100% of whatever he had, that energy that he been brought into the midfield.
Hmm.
Now arguably, if you look at in the entire spectrum of the players we had, we've not had the best of players playing for us, right?
Hmm.
We've Because it shows at the end of the day, your league standing shows where you are.
Correct.
Can you think of any current Manchester United, or maybe 3 years, 4 years back, any Manchester United player who would be readily go into a Manchester City team or even maybe a Liverpool team? I cannot think of it. So, and also the fact that there was a lot of, if you remember this, a lot
Yeah.
of criticism has also come from uh, even club icons like that of Roy Keane, who
Hmm.
said that you're not going to win anything with McFred as your midfield, as your double pivot.
Correct.
Yet, we were the only club who, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who managed to win thrice
Hmm.
at Etihad against Pep Guardiola.
Correct.
So, I understand the criticism. It's also driven by a lot of emotions. You lose games and you're just angry, right? I mean, that's why I never do these post match reactions, because I believe I'm just going to
We
come up
used
with,
to. We used to long time back. Yeah. Yeah.
used
On
to
on
long time
Instagram
back, but I
Live.
feel
Yeah.
that you got to give yourself at least a day to calm down, or even maybe, even if you're ecstatic, just don't go overboard. So I
Correct.
don't think this criticism is that much
Justified.
necessary. I think he's a
Yeah.
brilliant player.
Right. Right. Just
So
to just to also
yeah.
answer your question, sort of, I
Hmm.
mean, the only player I can think of who would get out of a Manchester United team and fit right into a Manchester City team is Carlos Tevez, and we know how that went down. Yeah.
तो कर ही लिया ना उसने.
कर तो लिया, exactly. Right. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, what we've decided to do is we've decided to start two very important parts of this podcast, and this is where आप लोग आके हमारे साथ खेल सकते हो, इंटरेक्ट कर सकते हो. मतलब खेल सकते हो वैसे मत सोचना. आप सौरभ के साथ खेल सकते हो अगर चाहो तो, मेरे साथ तो नहीं खेल सकते. ठीक
नहीं नहीं नहीं, वही
है.
ऐसा मत
नहीं,
करो
सौरभ के
किसी के
साथ खेल
साथ.
सकते हो क्योंकि सौरभ हैज द फर्स्ट caveat to this,
Right.
which is where you actually play with us. Sort of, why don't you take us through
Yes,
that?
I'll do that. Thank you very much, Sammy. Firstly, guys, this is the first official Dead Ball Specialist Fantasy League. What we will do is we will basically give you the auto join code for the Fantasy League, as well as that the code for it. It's a Fantasy Premier League. Essentially, what we want to do is we've created this league, and it's named as Q Music Rice Rice Baby. Okay.
Because
So
Saurav is a huge fan of Declan Rice.
Hmm.
और राइस
Right.
भी, he's a bong bro,
आ
there
जाता, अब ऐसे
has
देख,
to be
अगर वो
rice.
यूनाइटेड आ जाता ना, तो तू
तो
भी फैन बन जाता
बस
उसका,
बिल्कुल
ठीक है,
बिल्कुल
यू यू
बिल्कुल,
एग्री राइट?
बट
बट एनीवे, मे
बॉन्ग
बी नेक्स्ट
कनेक्शन है
सीजन।
इसमें, इस नाम में बॉन्ग कनेक्शन मुझे
हाँ,
दिख रहा
बॉन्ग कनेक्शन तो
है ना? हाँ,
एक्चुअली हमें 3 बार राइस बोलना चाहिए फिर, राइस 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 बेबी,
राइस
बिकॉज़
बेबी,
बिकॉज़ bongs usually have rice 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch and
लंच एंड
dinner too. बट
करेक्ट,
हम ने 2 ही बार रखा है, वी आर बीइंग
क्योंकि
अ
हम
लिटिल
2 बार
डाइट
खाते हैं ना।
कॉन्शियस। हाँ, वी बीइंग अ
हम 2
लिटिल
बार
डाइट
खाते हैं।
कॉन्शियस, सो वी आर गोना कीप इट राइस राइस बेबी।
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल,
एंड
बिल्कुल। Guys, please join in Rice Rice Baby. This is,
यस,
as Saurav said, our fantasy football league where we can all get together and see who's got the best teams week on week and have like a leaderboard. But the second
यस,
part of it is also very interesting. We're giving you a chance to be a part of a discussion on our podcast by simply answering this one question. The question for this week is, since we're discussing Scott McTominay, how many goals has Scott McTominay scored in a Man United jersey? कमेंट्स में लिखो अगर आपको जवाब पता है, and if you give us the right answer, we're going to take all the right answers in a week's time, put them into a randomizer on the internet and find out one person who we will then contact to tell you कि भाई आ जाओ, हम लोग रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं, हमारे साथ पॉडकास्ट में be a part of it, and maybe you can give your point of views on Scott McTominay or anything that we are discussing on that day. Your chance to be on the podcast, do not miss that. I think we'll wrap it up for tonight, Saurav. Before we go,
करेक्ट,
you need to do a couple of things for us, guys. Number one is subscribe to this channel. We need more subscribers. Jaldi aao. We're trying to make this into a community wherein all football lovers, no matter who you support, can come and put in their views. And you can also find us on Instagram. The QR code is somewhere over here. I think here, yeah.
नीचे
Also,
नीचे,
Saurav and me.
राइट,
You can follow us individually on our social media. I'm at RJSammy07. I'm going to put up the QR code somewhere here. If you want to just scan it and be a part of my social media and sort of tell us yours.
yeah, and mine is Waza, WAZZA2188. It's on Instagram and Twitter, so please hit us up and post your questions, comments, anything at all. If there's something that you want us to talk about it, maybe we can entertain that too.
Absolutely. He entertains a lot of things on his social media.
Yes.
His QR code
Hmm.
is also right over here. Please,
Somewhere here,
somewhere,
here.
yeah. Just scan that QR code and you are going to be a part of Soros Insta family. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. बहुत मजा आया आज स्कॉट मैकटोमिने के बारे में बात करके. थोड़ा दुख है हम लोगों के दिल में, क्योंकि हाँ, हमारा एक प्लेयर जिनसे हम बहुत प्यार करते थे और करते हैं अभी भी इनफैक्ट, और जो मतलब बचपन से हमारे साथ, ऐसा लग रहा है कि हमारे घर का बच्चा बाहर जा रहा है. तो वी
बात
विश
तो
हिम.
है यार,
हाँ यार, घर तो है, घर थोड़ा सा भी छत से पानी
बात
गिर
तो
रहा
है,
है, बट है,
बात
पर
तो
है ना?
है।
We wish Scott McTominay, the
Yeah.
football specialist, from our end, we wish him all the very best in his future endeavor. This is Sammy and Saurus signing out. Hasta la vista, baby.
Ciao.